Hi, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'd like to start the show with a quote that I found. It says, and I quote, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." Question is, what are you willing to give? And if I may add, how do you want to be remembered? Now, today's guest takes the meaning of this quote to a whole other level. And I'd love for you to meet him. I can't wait. So let's begin the show. Thank you so much. This is Unscripted, of course, filming at this beautiful location, Radisson Blu, here in Arboretum. Let's go. All right, now, welcome to Unscripted. Let's begin the conversation. I talked about it earlier as we began the show. Hezekiah, thank you for coming on the show.
Many thanks for having me.
Tunashukuru sana. And just for being very honest, I think we saw your very brave post on Facebook, and that's why you're here today. I think we never hear the other side of the story where a kidney donor shares their experience, especially post and what they go through psychologically and emotionally. So let's go from the beginning. What you did was a very honorable thing, giving of yourself, literally, to someone else. How did you end up being a kidney donor?
My journey effectively began in June of 2017. Okay. We lost an uncle in the family, and when one of his brothers came, Guy has been ailing, and he had been attending these dialysis sessions, and I saw that he was losing his life. He was so debilitated. I took pity on him. He didn't ask from me. I just took pity on him and I said, I'm going to donate my kidney.
You just volunteered?
Oh, yes. In fact, I didn't talk to him. I went back to my family. I talked with my wife overnight and I was like, if I am a match, I think I'm one to save this life. So June 2017, I made that decision. But I was in the thick of things at that time, so we went through the processes that I was going. Come September, I went out and talked to the family of this guy. I called the wife and I was like, what do you people need? Why is my uncle debilitated? Why is he, daily going down? And it had become the order of the day. Every 2 weeks, ICU for him. Every 2 weeks, intensive care. So they told me they'd not got a match. The person who had offered to donate his kidney had chickened out at one point. Then I said, I think I am willing. And they were like, what? You mean they couldn't believe me?
You just mentioned the person who was meant to do it chickened out. What gave you the conviction and just the bravery to do it? It's not an easy thing to do.
I know. I really want to thank God because perhaps that courage came from him. It is something that you can't just do on your own. And I felt so brave enough. I was courageous. And I said, yes, I'm determined. I want to save a life. And I'm going out for it. So we started doing our matches, the match tests. I would come to Nairobi all the way from Eldoret twice a week. And it took a while from, I think, late August, September, all the way to November. Everything returned a match.
And even especially during that period of testing to see if you're a match, did you get nervous at any point or anxious? Especially when you realized indeed you're a match and you're going through with this?
It never crossed my mind. I think I was so focused on saving this guy. I was so focused on doing that noble feat, giving him a new lease of life, that it didn't cross my mind. So all this while, I was up, good to go. I went through the motions without even thinking of, who we are. Exactly. Until that time, we flew all the way to New Delhi, and that was okay.
So how do you prepare for a procedure like this? I'm sure there must be a psychological prep. I don't know if physically you need to do certain things to your body or care for your body. What's the process like?
Well, I remember when we went to the doctor, the first tests were about my, physical state. Yeah. And the doctor was amazed that I was even looking more fit than my age at that particular time. Yeah, so he was asking me, what do you do? And I realized my diet has been good all along. I do lots of water, I do lots of fruits and stuff like that. So that would have been what they would have told me to do. Unfortunately, post-transplant is when I realized that I needed to have been prepared more on psychological and, emotional expectations of a transplant.
Exactly.
Because here I am, I'm so courageous, but out of you know, my ignorance. I mean, I'd never gone through another transplant operation. So it's like, I think there should have been better preparation for me in terms of what to expect thereafter. When we went to India, we went in November of 2017. Unfortunately, it took a while for us to get that transplant approval. You know, there's a committee that must approve. So it took a while. We finished all the tests within 2 weeks, but it took a while. And our transplant took place in January of 2018. So you can see those like a month and
waiting.
Waiting period. If I was to chicken out, I think that was the time.
That was the time.
that would have been the time. I remember the rundown to the D-Day, you know, 14th of January. My wife called me, and she was casting aspersions on this process. She was like, do you think you're going to go through this? I mean, if things go wrong, you know. And I told her, let's pray. And I mean, I have come this far. I can't go out now. I can't pull out now. So, well, I got a bit apprehensive.
Of course.
But I think I drew some inner strength. God gave me that grace, and I was able to go through it.
I think when any surgery, however big or small, you never know if you'll come out. So I can imagine what your wife was going through in that moment.
And you know the distance, you know, that I'm miles away from her. She was, you know, apprehensive too.
She was in Eldoret.
She was in Eldoret, I'm in New Delhi, India, worlds apart. But welcome that evening, our surgeon doctor, a lady by the way, who happened to have been an Indian Christian, came talking to us. Of course, in the morning, those guys were thorough before, because our transplant took place at night. So that morning they came preparing us. There were quite a number of doctors coming to see us. One, you know, preparing you psychologically for that and telling you what to expect and how the procedure is going to be done. So I think I went into it, well, fully conscious of what I was getting myself into. And believe you me, I was under for 6 hours plus.
6 hours
6 hours plus. They did laparoscopic surgery on me. So that was minimal entry. But the outlet for the kidney is like the cesarean cut in when you're giving birth. So it's surgery. So, well, I woke up in pain. I remember, that's one thing I remember. I woke up in pain. It was damn cold. And the first thing that came into my mind was my ankle. I remember I was being pushed. I could hear I was in motion. And I was asking, where's my uncle? And I was told, oh, him is still in the theater. Then I was asking for my auntie. His wife now was taking care of us.
So you were alone?
I was alone in the theater, but his wife was there with us. But of course, she wasn't allowed into the theater.
But so I'm saying in India, it was your uncle, yourself, and his wife?
Initially, for a month or so, we were alone. Then his wife joined us later. And during the transplant period, of course, she was there. She was the one who was taking care of us after the operation.
But of course, your first thought when you come out of surgery is my uncle okay?
Yeah, that was the first thought I think that was in my mind. I was like, where is he? Is he okay? When I look back at that, I'm amazed because I didn't think about myself. I was thinking about him and I was like, how is he? And I was told he's okay, he's doing well. So I was wheeled into an ICU. Donor ICU, him was wheeled into a different ICU, the recipient's ICU. So
before in the second part we'll talk about that recovery process, I must ask, let's talk about your faith and what you did, because I can tell you speak about God walking with you through this journey.
Sure.
Tell me about how faith has helped you, or helped you to do this. Because I can sense there's that guidance.
Believe you me, Grace, I don't think I would have gone through this without God. When I look at it, you know, when I take a relook at things, I realize it wasn't by my own might. It wasn't by my own thinking. There was, you know, a superior being, you know, directing me to do what I did. And yes, I'm a spiritual person. I love God, and I realized He's the one who's guiding me. And he had a purpose as to why He led me. Do you know one thing? There were more closer relatives than me that were a match, that would have even donated for this guy.
So he had several matches?
Oh, he had, even his own son would have donated for him. But all of them, I I don't know, one or the other, it ended up being me. And I think God is the one who worked that, and He knows why. I still do believe there's a reason as to why. I'm yet to know why.
Okay.
But yeah, I do believe there is a reason as to why.
All right, let's take a short break and hear more about this incredible story and figure out why Hezekiah was convicted to do this and how that healing process was like and the emotions that come with the experience after. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us, and special thanks to our beautiful, beautiful location, the new Radisson Blu here in Arboretum. Isn't it lovely?
Oh, well, it's awesome.
It is.
I didn't know this place existed
Exactly.
before.
They did a very good job.
Awesome. I love it.
So you must come and try it as well. We're enjoying
sure,
it.
Sure.
But before the break, you were telling me how after the surgery, your first thought was, how is my uncle? Is he okay? Was it successful? So was it? Was it a success? It went well?
Oh, it really went well.
Super.
I thank God for that.
Okay.
I was meant to get out of the ICU in 3 days,
Okay.
but I ended up staying for 7 days plus.
Oh, wow. Let's talk about that, the recovery process. What
Yeah,
was that
the
like?
recovery
Why
process.
did it take longer than anticipated?
My stomach got distended, and I think due to the processes,
Okay.
laparoscopic surgery requires that my intestines were pushed to one side.
I see.
So for a longer period, I mean, six hours is a long period.
It is.
So I stayed longer in the ICU. We were discharged at the same time after the 7-time period. And in between this time, I was able to walk into his ICU to go check on him.
Oh, good.
I was this strong. I remember Indians used to say, Indians used to come and have a look at me, say, this is a strong African man. All the exercises we were given, I was able to do that. I was able to walk the first day to the washrooms on my own. With lots of tubes on both sides, one draining blood from the stomach, one for urine, and but I was able to do that. Okay. And I thank God. I think still I had that energy.
How was your first encounter with your uncle after the surgery?
Well, when I looked at him, I noticed there was a change in him. His face was glowing already. His body was functioning now. Yeah. And there was a visible change in his physical appearance. And I realized this guy was getting ill.
He was getting ill.
I mean, there was that joy inside me.
Yeah.
I felt, that inner satisfaction that, I've done something good. I've saved a life.
You felt like a hero that day, didn't you? You are
not
one.
a hero per se.
Yeah, you saved someone's life.
There's this sense of satisfaction that you can't explain. Something that overwhelms you.
That's true.
You feel at peace. That's what I felt at that moment.
Did you have a conversation, or he wasn't coherent?
Oh yeah, you would talk. And I kept on asking how I was feeling, and the guy was overwhelmed. He was happy. Okay. I mean, you could see him function. You could see his body functioning, see himself functioning again, and he was real happy.
There's something you said on the post that we don't realize what a donor goes through post the surgery. The focus shifts to the recipient and the recovery process, and you're sort of, if I should use the word, forgotten, or there isn't much attention given. So for you, what was that transition like? And what were you expecting? Yeah.
Of course, after a short while, I was supposed to travel back to the country. Okay. The donor normally gets released fast.
I see.
I mean, he heals faster than the recipient.
Did you get a thank you, though?
Before? I got that verbal one. I was told, oh, wow, thank you.
Okay.
You could see it, right? And then things started happening. I came back home. I remember that was in February of 2018. I landed in Nairobi on the 16th. I was received. And I had to find my way back to Eldoret, one way or the other. When I came to Nairobi, I remember even backwards a bit before the transplant. I remember December when I was in India. Yeah. My wife was calling me that January is coming, schools are opening. Where's fees for our kids? And there's not much I could do from such a distance. Yeah. And the first thing that I realized I could do is sell one of my properties, one that could go faster. I had a friend back in Eldoret who always desired to buy my car. And I called him and we conversed, and he said, okay, fine, let me look for money in 2 weeks' time. But it didn't even work out that way. Someone who was with me in India offered to buy the car. Wow. And I was like, okay, let him buy. So when I came back, he had not cleared the balance. When I landed in Nairobi, there was some drugs that I came with, and someone was to pay for the drugs in Nairobi. When I got the money, the guy calls me from India and asks me, have you been paid? I said, yes. He says, how much was I still owing you for the car? I said, it's this much. He says, okay, then deduct from that. And that was what I got from the entire process. So I had to plan for this, get my ticket back to Eldoret. I couldn't, drive down to Eldoret. Yeah. I get a ticket. I flew to Eldoret. And to date, I've not seen anyone come to my house to say even thank you. I remember the first day I reached home, my parents came and my siblings. Yeah. But the rest of the larger family, no one. A few of us, yes, would come. I remember one of his brothers came. But the rest of the large family, and believe you, when I talk of a large family, ours is really large. My grandfather had 3 wives, and 24 children. So you can imagine how large that family. But out of the 24, so I can say around 7 came to visit me. And that is when I realized, as a donor, you tend to get forgotten. The recipient and his wife came back from India.
Did they look for you?
I used to come to Nairobi when I could. I could still go to their home, sleep there. But I was taken aback one time when I had them planning for an upcoming party, a Thanksgiving party scheduled for April of 2018.
You are not in
that I was not even, in the know. And it is announced that I'm part and parcel of that. Do you know, I ended up not attending that party because I felt, how should I go to their, how it bet logic for me to go to their home for a Thanksgiving when no one has stepped in my house to say thank you. I expected something different. When I talk of a thank you, when I talk of gratitude being shown, I don't mean monetary. I don't mean material things. Yeah. It means a lot if an entire family comes and says, here's what you did is awesome to us. You've just come to say thank you. That has never happened today.
It's never happened.
Unfortunately for me. And
it's so sad because you'd imagine even when you give of yourself, to that extent to someone, even your bond would be closer, with them and the rest of the family. That didn't happen for you.
Well, it didn't happen for me. I'm in touch with some other donors. Okay. Some are lucky. Some are lucky they've had a closer relationship. The entire family is there for them. But for my case and a few others that I've talked to, I think I don't know whether because I voluntarily offered on my own that it was taken as, a normal thing or something. I don't know how.
You don't know why.
To date, I can't understand exactly what went wrong. At times, I tend to think, did I do something wrong? Am I bad? It reaches an extent that I think it's me. I must have done something wrong. But when I look at things again, I realize, no, I gave my best.
You did.
I put myself in the line. Anything could have gone wrong during the operation, but it never occurred to me. I decided to save a life, and I went forth. And to date, I still thank God that I was able to do that. In as much as we lost him down the line, a year down the line, but not because of the same ailment. He suffered from something else. He was diabetic, and that brought him down. My kidney, the kidney I donated, was functioning well to the very last. And I really thank God for that.
So you brought up something, but before I ask you about his passing, in your post you mentioned you spoke to different donors, and some would go into depression, become alcoholics. For you, how did you cope? How did you do?
Well, I think I pushed myself. I really pushed myself. For me, the story was a bit different. I'm still sick. I've just arrived home. Yeah. I have to still put food on the table. The family is looking at me. Do you know, the doctor had prescribed a total rest for 6 months, minimum activities. Wow. Yes, and I had to walk out in my second month or so. I remember I would walk for like 200 meters, sit down, sleep for 30 minutes, walk for 2, 3, and I kept pushing myself. And eventually I made it. I had to go back to work. I'm a businessman. I had to go back to work, and eventually I made it. I really thank God. I think God also answered my prayers. I mean, He saw what I was going through.
Yes, He gave me the grace.
Yes, he opted to open ways for me.
And you mentioned, unfortunately, your uncle died.
We lost him July of 2019.
So as we finish this part, how was that like for you, knowing what you've done? Did you ask God, I've given someone a part of me, and then he passes? Did you go through that process?
Honestly, Grace, today I still ask God, why did you have to make me go through this and then take him away again?
Yeah.
The most difficult part was his burial. You know, to me, I wasn't burying a relative. I wasn't burying anyone else. I was burying a part of me.
Exactly.
It was tough for me. It was tough. I've never cried in so many years, but I think that night, the night prior to the burial day, I really cried out my heart. And, yeah, it was so tough for me.
Because also, you mentioned you buried a part of yourself. Anything we lose, whether a relationship, a part of our body, you know, losing someone, you grieve. And you lost a part of you. Yeah, so you went through a grieving process.
Exactly. It was a grieving one, and it was really heavy for me. I don't know, Grace, whether you get the import of this. You know, you look at that casket there, and you know that's a part of me. Wow. That's a part of me. It's not any other person. It's not just a body that you're burying. Yeah. That body holds a part of you. That will be forever gone.
Forever gone. What gave you the strength to go through that period?
Well, as I said, I still draw my strength from God. At times I ask God so many questions, but I realize there's a bigger picture that I'm yet to tap into. I'm yet to know exactly what God intended me to achieve in this.
You feel like you're yet...
I know that eventually, perhaps the outcome is going to be something that I didn't expect.
I love that. Welcome back. We're still here at Arboretum, enjoying the Radisson Blue. Isn't it amazing?
Oh yeah, I love it.
You love it?
As I said before,
yeah,
this place is really awesome.
Now, as you finish this this conversation of this very noble thing you did, I have to ask you: is this something you would do again if given a chance?
Well, Grace, to be honest with you, there are days that you think like, can I still do it? If I was given another chance,
with everything
was the clock to be turned back? Would I do it again? I've really searched in within me, and I've realized that yes, I would do it again.
You would?
I would do it again. I don't know. Something inside me always pushes me into doing things for people. Unfortunately for me, most people take advantage of this. I've been taken advantage of many times. And at one time I was asking myself, am I being taken advantage of here again? But I said, hey, look, it's me, Wofford. And I did a noble thing, and I saved a life, albeit for that short time that he was about to live again. So yes, if you ask me, I would.
And what has been your biggest lesson through it all?
Number one, donors need close attention post-transplant. Okay. I realized that people easily go into depression without people knowing. Focus shifts to the recipient by and large.
Yeah, naturally.
And, a healthy person, is ostensibly seen as doing well, but deep inside him, the guy or the lady is hurting. A very healthy person becomes an invalid overnight. You're confined to a bed for 6 months. Right, you are able to walk left, right, center, but I mean, you are not yourself. Exactly. You can't do
about
the
a year,
chores,
right?
Yeah.
To heal completely. Yeah.
So I think we need to do better. I don't know whether we can have a policy framework for this, whether it can come from goodwill, but a donor needs a close attention. People need to be checking, people need to be, looking into them seeing whether they are well provided for, what is it that they're going through financially, emotionally, socially, and all that. So one lesson that I've taken home is like, if I was to get the ways and means, I think I would set up something to help donors.
Really?
I'm trying to work on something, create a network. I remember when I posted on my Facebook page, there's a lady who came to my inbox and talked about her donor keeping off. And I told her, hey, you need to go get close to that guy. The guy is depressed. You know, you tend to keep up.
So the recipient reached out to you?
Yeah, it's the recipient who reached out to
amazing.
me. I think she realized there's something amiss between her and her donor. So I gave her a few guidelines, and I thank God they're now on talking terms again, and you know, they're reaching out to each other. And yes, they've realized the girl was into a depression, you know, without knowing.
Wow. It's a selfless act. Yeah.
Pardon? Yeah.
It's a selfless act.
It is.
If not given and you'll explain to us what value of gratitude one needs. I think if that is not met, you can sink into.
Do you know, Grace?
Depression. Yeah.
Gratitude. Many people mistake it for monetary or material things.
How would you?
That is not gratitude.
How would you
If one is truly grateful, you will feel it. Believe you me. This is a person who would call you 6 times a day. Are you okay? I'm just checking on you. Yeah. Hey, guy, I'm still grateful for what you did for me.
Yes.
That would be, you know, gratitude. A person who would come to your home. A person who would want to know each and every step how you're doing. That is gratitude. It's not about money. It's not about material things. I mean, I remember I was telling someone, if I was to sell my kidney, who would afford it?
Who would afford it? Good question.
No one.
No one.
No one can afford an organ. It's priceless.
That's true.
It's life given by God.
Yeah.
So it's not about money. It's about that bond, you know, forging together, coming together as a family, as a people. That matters a lot.
And for you, unfortunately,
unfortunately for me, it didn't happen. Yeah. It doesn't happen today. I mean,
because even after his passing, the family, there is no bond that was built after that.
I remember during the burial, his wife just said, "Hez, we have not forgotten about you. We are thinking about you." And well, yeah, that was it. One auntie out there came to me saying, "Oh, hey, we will visit you." Well, that is yet to happen. When we meet in a function, a family function, that is when they tend to remember me. They say, "Hey, by the way, we need to, you know, invite you to our home." Once you part ways, that is it. It's the end of things. So yeah, for me, I would say we need to have a paradigm shift in our ways of dealing with donors as a people.
Yeah.
Other families are doing well, others, but few, because out of perhaps 10 donors that I've talked with, around 3 are doing well. The rest are forgotten, neglected. I can say that.
I think thank you for highlighting this. You've given us an insight into a situation we didn't even know existed to this magnitude, that donors go through the motions, and they need support, and they need gratitude. And I think what you've also mentioned that is so important. Yes. And thank you for stepping up and forming a support group, because that's been lacking, hasn't it?
I know.
Yeah, but thanks to...
You see, I realized, even me, I was unwilling to come out and talk about this. Because...
And why do you think so? Why is that so?
Do you know, the fear of the unknown. Am I going to cause acrimony in the family, you know, and such like stuff? Yeah. But I realized if I don't talk about it, who will? People will continue suffering in silence. And for how long? You'll end up losing healthy people, donors, noble people. To me, these are heroes and heroines in the society. People who are selfless, you know, sacrificing, putting themselves in line to save another life. They need to be taken care of, honestly. They need to be, you know, appreciated in all possible ways.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for highlighting this story.
Oh, yeah.
As we wrap, I'd like you to talk to someone at home who could be in line to be a donor to someone, to give of themselves to someone. What would you tell that person right now? You can look into the camera.
My fellow donor to be, don't be discouraged by this kind of a story that I'm giving today. If you are intending to save a life, believe you me, that is what Christ would like of you. It's what we call Christ-like living. Put yourself in line. serve that person. And believe you me, your crown will be in heaven.
God bless you. God bless you. You're such a good person.
Thank you.
If someone asked you, do you think you're a good person, would you say yes?
I don't know. Honestly, as I told you, at times I have doubts. I mean, am I good? I don't know.
You're a good person. As you wrap up, what do you wish you knew then that you know now?
If I was prepared on the aftermath of the transplant, if I knew that there would be times that I'd be so low, then I would have prepared myself psychologically.
Okay.
I would have even, deferred the dates of transplant in order to put a few things in my house in place, so that when I go missing in action for 3 months, my family doesn't suffer. Yeah, my family doesn't feel the disconnect. And, yeah, that would be the only thing. If I was in the know of what would happen after. Yeah. And that is why I said we need a post and the pre and the post transplant care for the donors. They need to be told exactly what to expect after the transplant.
I think some things you learn from experience.
For me, I have.
Indeed, right?
Mm-hmm. For me, I have.
And now, could you say you will launch or work on something like that, like a post and
I'm working on a few things here and there. I want to see how tenable it is to perhaps start with even a WhatsApp group of donors, so that we can be conversing and sharing our experiences.
Fantastic.
Then perhaps bring in a counselor into the group, someone who can be helping us go through some of these low moments.
Fantastic.
And see, we will progress and see what happens there.
What grows from that?
I was thinking also of, prevention is better than cure. So out of this group, if I will get people of like mind, we can come up with a kidney ailments awareness campaign. We can go around and tell people what to do and what not to do, what to eat and what not, in order to guard of their kidneys. Because we won't want to have so many donors because of kidney failures.
Exactly.
We'd rather have
prevention
and have healthy kidneys.
Thank you, Hezekiah.
Thank you, Grace.
We appreciate your time and sharing your story with us. To those at home who would like to reach out to him, we'll share his details below in case you want to reach out. Maybe you're a donor or you just want to be part of this conversation. I think he's ideal to get any feedback from. We appreciate your viewership. Thank you for watching. Special thanks to this lovely location, Radisson Blue here in Arboretum. Until next week, goodbye and God bless.